The reason I'm cutting all of this down, I was going to let it go to seed so I can get some celery seed, but number one, it has been a pain in my butt because it will not stand straight up. It's too heavy, it's way too big. And also what I noticed is there are a lot of gnats and bugs, mostly flies. Like, it's not attracting bees, it's attracting flies, and I don't like that. So I am cutting it out, and we're going to use this precious space for something else. I don't have the patience to wait for celery seed. This was an experiment just to see if I could do it. I do that a lot. I like to prove to myself that I can do certain things, and this is one of those things. But I don't think I will do this again. It's a very strange process. It got really big. It was just a regular old celery. And it's from last year. Got quite a harvest off of it, and I decided to let one plant bolt. Well, it bolted, and they are not even close to being ready to harvest for celery seed, and there's just bugs everywhere. And another thing I don't like is every time we walk by, the little tiny flower petals that are on here are very sticky. And I'm not so sure if that's what's attracting the bees or the flies, but they stick to my clothes, and I have little bits, little white things all over my shirt whenever I walk by. So it's impeding our walkway, and I'm just tired of it. I don't have patience. If I decide to do it again, I'm going to have to do it in a spot in the garden that is not going to get in the way. Oh, those roots are in there. All right. This is last year's celery. Oh, man. Let's try to save as much of that dirt as we can. Wow, those roots really do dig in deep. But not deep enough to help it stand up, obviously. Then take these to the compost bin. I'm going to get this garden bed ready to plant. I have some volunteers that I would like to keep. And this is one of our original garden beds that's been in here for about 12 years. So we are going to weed it and get it ready to plant some tomatoes. So to start, I'm going to put worm castings in. I just get this, I get this bag on Amazon. It is called Wiggle Worm, just pure worm castings. And I'm just going to sprinkle it around, kind of all over. And then I'll rake it in a little bit, and then I'll put a little bit in each hole that I dig for the tomatoes. I have a bunch of volunteer tomatoes that kind of came up from last year in my compost, and I'm just going to plant them because why not? If I have extra space, there's no reason not to fill it with garden goodness that I can share with friends and family. And my little neighbor boy loves tomatoes, so let's plant some. I see no reason to leave empty space. if I can help it. Stick this guy over here. So I have, I believe, about seven or eight tomato plants that I put in water. I have at least two that are really rooting in this jar. Need to give myself plenty of room in between these. To make sure I can put cages on them so they don't fall over. And they are already blossoming. The fun thing is I don't know which kind these are. So it'll be a surprise for everybody. All right. And then I put a handful of worm castings right down in with the soil and mix it in. And I plant these pretty deep because on tomatoes, every one of those little hairs will turn into roots. The squirrels left me a peanut. I have never been a by-the-book gardener. I usually do whatever intuitively feels right, or I try things, and the worst that can happen is it won't grow. But I don't know if I don't try. So it's just kind of a game to me. And I truly enjoy being in the garden. It's therapy and a whole lot less expensive. I'm going to take this guy off. I just pulled my garlic from this bed, so I ended up with extra space. And that's why I'm putting the worm castings in, and then I will go back over with fish fertilizer, and I'll fertilize it quite a bit because the garlic took up some of the nutrients. So I will fertilize it every couple weeks and make sure there's plenty of food. And then most likely I'll put a granular fertilizer on top before I lay the straw down. And that way it can water itself in. And I should have, there's 4 more tomato plants right there. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to plant over there on the trellis, but I do have room for more beans, so I'm thinking some green beans might be a good option. Tomatoes are takers, and green beans are givers. So there's pole beans over here, and these will go up over the trellis, and I have some on the other side that'll come over, and they're really fun to pick. We enjoy picking them off the trellis. Let's go plant some more somewhere else. So over here is where I had the rest of my garlic, and I'm going to do the same thing by putting some worm castings down and rejuvenate the soil a little bit. I rarely put anything other on my garden other than worm castings and either a fish emulsion or an algae type fertilizer for liquid fertilizers. I use those a lot in my green stalks, but I also like to use them right after I've watered, so the plants can uptake the nutrients a lot quicker and easier. And I've noticed with granular fertilizers, sometimes they take a while to show a difference. And then with liquid fertilizers, it really is noticeable overnight. You notice a difference right away. And I have green stalks, several green stalks, which I like to use the liquid fertilizer in. And the good thing about worm castings is you can't do too much. At least not that I know of. I have a random strawberry that grew in here, and I just let it go. And let me tell you, some of these berries are huge. When they're ripe, they're big. So I'm just going to let her stay there. And she's given me some runners, so I'm just going to keep her there. This is a German style tomato. I believe it's called Riesentraub. Not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I'm replanting her from another bed because she was in the shade and she needs some more sun. So I'm going to take off all the bottom leaves and I'm going to bury her pretty deep. I'm going to put her over here next to the strawberries. And I will put more straw down. Take off a couple more of these leaves. And then I have these two, which I couldn't tell you which ones they are because they came from the compost bin. So I'm going to spread them out, make sure I have plenty of room for cages because I don't have a trellis set up over here. Use some worm castings, mix it up. The cool thing is if you don't plant it, it won't grow. But if you plant it, you never know. It just might grow. And oftentimes, plants just want to grow, so they'll grow just fine. I'm grateful for any harvest that I get out of the garden. And so when I get things from the compost for free, this does have fish emulsion in it. I did fertilize the water. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of that water down deep in each one of these. And there we go. Now I'll come back through and I'll put straw over the entire thing. Make sure the moisture stays in. I need to do the straw under the green beans as well. And the summer heat we're going to be getting, it will help keep the moisture in. And also, it keeps the weeds down. So I really enjoy it. All right, let's go find somewhere else to plant. Okay, so I have a couple more tomatoes, which I didn't bring over here. That's okay, we'll get them in a minute. So this is actually my compost. I have been putting, like, I chop and drop everything into this bed because this bed is going to come out pretty soon. These are wood beds from 2014, or excuse me, 2015. And they are rotting, finally. We've taken most of them out and we've been redoing the garden all into metal beds because I don't want to do this every so many years. Which it's worked great for the last almost 12 years. But I need something a little bit more permanent, and also I've been getting the super high ones, the 30-inch tall ones. And as I get older, it'll be nice. So the dirt that I'm pushing around right now is literally just extra soil that I had in a green stalk that I didn't plant this year. So I put it in the compost bin, and we're just going to cover up all of the decaying organic matter. These are potatoes that popped up. This is also a potato that popped up. I throw away all my potato skins into the compost, and sometimes, you know, a rotten potato or two, and that's what pops up. So I'll take it. Free potatoes. I've already harvested about 15 pounds of potatoes out of here. They already grew, came up, and fell over, and we're ready to go. And these ones were just babies, so I'm letting them grow. And so I'm going to use this extra space to plant some tomatoes that are getting shaded out that were volunteers in my other bed. And I have a random dill that's growing. I did have some pumpkins, but the squash bugs got them, so I ripped those out. I have a little tiny, I don't know if you can see it, but a little tiny strawberry that grew, which I thought I composted just the straw, but I think I composted a strawberry on accident. And he'll probably grow into a nice big strawberry plant, and I'll take it. So down here, we had grass that came right up to the garden on the outside, but because the beds are rotting, the grass is coming right up through them. And once the bed comes out, we won't have any grass. We'll put the silage tarp over and kill all that off. But they're literally falling apart. These garden boxes are literally falling apart. But right now they hold soil, so I'm going to use them. We've been under construction in the garden this year. We've been slowly taking out the wood beds and putting in metal beds. So that's where we're at. And I'll do a tour again. I've done one little tour so far, but I'll do a tour again once I get all this stuff planted. My husband's been working on getting the dirt leveled. As you can see, there's dirt around here with no grass, and what we've done is we've raised up the yard because it was on a heavy slope, and the water was basically draining all towards the street. And so I was struggling to keep things going, keep things watered and whatnot. The top of the garden would get real dry, the bottom of the garden would get real wet. It was fun. So we're leveling it out, and we've built a retaining wall. Basically all the black garden boxes around the yard is like a retaining wall so we could level it out. And so that's in progress. We'll finish hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And I'll send out a video of what it's going to look like, or what it looks like. It's a more permanent garden. Again, this is just worm castings. I like to feed the garden with worm castings. I may end up planting even some beets maybe along the edges, maybe some carrots. Who knows? I'm going to put a couple tomatoes in here for now. Let me go get those. I'll be right back. Okay. That's funny. It's a little tiny baby red potato that was stuck to my tomato. Interesting. Well, let's plant it and see what happens. We'll put him right there. Never know. So this is another tomato over here. So I think I'm going to put this guy over here. Oh, I did not put any worm castings in. Let me get that. Some worm castings in here. All right. And this guy, we can take off some of the outer leaves. And plant him pretty deep. Oh, I broke a leaf. That's okay. Now this guy, I'm pretty sure is an Abe Lincoln, but I'm not positive. So we're gonna tag him just in case. Because it was growing where I had them last year, so I'm pretty positive, but I'm not sure. And this guy, I'm pretty sure is an ox heart, because that's where I had them last year. Oh, it's kind of a reach. Let's see. Get some worm castings. And this other side is a little awkward, but I have a bunch of things in buckets that we've been moving while we've been under construction. So there's nowhere for them right now. And if I spread them too far away, it's really hard to go water all the buckets. So I put them close. So this guy, I believe, was an ox heart. So we're going to guess and we're going to tag it. And I hope it's right because they are wonderful heirloom tomatoes. Abe Lincolns were pretty awesome too. And there you have it. I planted some extra tomatoes that were free. And maybe I'll sprinkle some carrots, maybe some bunching onions, things that stay real low, and use up the rest of my space. I don't like to leave any garden space. Okay, so I was going to plant green beans right here, like I do over there, but I have some cucumbers that I'm going to try called Tasty Jade. I have zero luck with cucumbers. They get bitter so fast in the heat, and this year is going to be pretty hot, so we'll try again. I keep trying, and so far I've gotten a handful before they basically bitter and start to shrivel up. So I always keep trying, and I try different kinds. This is it says it was a heat tolerant, so I'm going to try to see how these go.